I think it all started when I was a teenager. I was living in Paris back then, and Paris, very fragrant city, and just got interested in fragrance without even knowing that there's people who create them. And then the moment I found out, I was like, okay, that's what I want to do. Most important part is really to train your olfactive memory. So what you do is you start smelling ingredients, learning about ingredients, all the natural essential oils and molecules that we use in our fragrances. So you learn how to recognize them, to memorize them, and then eventually you learn how to put them together. You have to be really passionate about it. I mean, you have to have a passion for scent and have a high level of curiosity. You have to have a good sense of imagination too, because in a way, whatever we create is something that we imagined before. So this sense of imagination, the sense of curiosity, and it's a little bit of resilience as well, because it's not only like the artist that's spending the day thinking and creating. It's also very competitive. So yeah, you have to definitely be resilient and work your way through it. Working on Rendue was really extremely exciting, but I will also say a little bit of a challenge, especially after the success of You. There are common factors, then there's definitely different layers being added. So Do has something strong in there, but done in a smooth way. So the Palo Santo wood is really something it's a note that's completely new. The violet, it's also completely new. And then the common factor would be like this ambrox, musky background, this comfort piece that You has. But definitely, I would say there's a completely new texture added to it. There's also the iris is not, like in the You, iris plays a role. In Do, not so much, So it's more about a little bit of an earthy, something that's very ground. Personally, I believe that, wood notes will always keep you grounded. The tree that is connected through its roots to the soil and to the earth. I think I like to use woody notes in that way. And then Rêve, there's fruit notes. I mean, subtle fruit notes. There's sweet notes in there. These so-called gourmand, but without being sticky. So I think there's an element of pleasure. There's a little bit more of an element of color in that fragrance, and this element of joy that really connects the community. I would say the Glossier community together. The Moodboard was about camaraderie. Connectivity. It was really all about the shared experience of being together. That was kind of the vibe for Rêve, and it's about joy, it's about pleasure. I would say probably something that brings people together in a way, in a positive way. So that was really the Moodboard for Rêve. And then for Do, it was actually quite different. It was more about strength. It was about confidence, was more about serenity and being serene, feeling strong, feeling maybe somewhat empowered. I wouldn't say more serious, but definitely I think the confidence and the strength that you want to feel, and to feel grounded and serene, those were really the main emotions on that Moodboard. We used to think of fragrance for so many years or even generations that it was for others, a little bit more than for ourselves. It's for your own comfort, for your own well-being. Be yourself and feel good about who you are. I think that's kind of the ultimate feeling I would want. Yeah, I mean, layering can be easy, but can also be complicated. So it really, I do think there's different levels of compatibility between different scents. But then again, perfumery is so subjective, and everybody's taste is so different one from each other. So I've heard people layering Glossier with other types of fragrances. Then you have the purists, which would be me, that there's only one fragrance at a time. But I think that it's also interesting to consider throughout your day that you kind of want to change, let's say, what you're doing or who you want to be or the situation you're going to be encounter. So I think there's definitely a way to let's say, spritz on a little bit more of confidence at a certain moment in your day, or to layer with a little bit of more pleasure and fun towards the end of your day. So I do think it's a cool thing, and I think that probably staying within one brand is maybe a little bit of a safer way to do it than going completely, starting to mix some fashion brand with Glossier Inc or any other brands. Yeah, I think that is a very interesting question because that happens so much today. The first thing I can think of is that probably you want to listen to those that you trust more than others. I mean, we have, of course, the phenomenon of influencers that are playing a big role on social media. And I think there's a lot of people listening to them. When they trust their influencer, then they will go for that and say, okay, it's at least worth trying something because I trust this person's taste and their beliefs and their values. The other thing that I think is important is really a brand. I mean, as a perfumer, that's really the first thing I'm looking at and I'm thinking about is when I create is like, what is the brand? What does the brand stand for? Overall, when you are into one brand and you are into their products and you're into their style and whatever DNA that brand has, you're going to find again, even in a fragrance, the same type of values. And as a perfumer, that's really the most important piece. You have to really understand the brand, understand the DNA, and why do consumers go, what do they go for when they go for a certain brand? That is such a difficult question, and honestly, I don't know. I mean, it's the amount of fragrances that have launched. Certainly, there's hundreds by the fragrances that I create that haven't launched yet. So definitely there are thousands. And I can tell you a little secret, like we have this system that we use in the company to create the formulas, and I think there's around 75,000 in there by now. So it's a big number, yeah. So depending how you want to count it, you could say it's 75,000. Since we started working on Glossier, on the fragrance franchise, definitely Emily Weiss, I mean, is always a huge association, and she represents those values, and it's certainly her brainchild, and I think she definitely is somewhat of a muse for both fragrances still. I think the other person is actually my daughter. My daughter is kind of in that age, and she loves the brand, and she uses the product, she loves the fragrance, she's very excited. I think definitely I see her as she's kind of the Glossier girl for me, yeah.